A concern is growing in the UK about so-called forever chemicals. A recent study says that unless more is done to limit their use, the cost to try to remove them from their natural environment could be as much as $12 billion a year.
Or even the targeted cleanup of known polluted areas like landfills and oil factories would run into billions. Bevir reports.
From non-stick pans to makeup and how your coat stays waterproof, per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, can be found everywhere in the modern world. Thousands of these man-made compounds litter or have leached into the natural environment. They're known as forever chemicals because without human intervention, they're almost indestructible. It means they're now found almost everywhere across the globe, and scientists believe in almost everybody's blood. The Royal Society of Chemistry has launched a campaign trying to reduce the amount of PFAS in the water in the UK by lowering the limits allowed by law.
Drinking water is definitely one of the main areas that we know people can be exposed to PFAS from. Other things include diet or potentially exposure in your house, like from dust. But in addition to that, we also have a better understanding of PFAS in water than we do in some other areas. So for example, we know there is PFAS in soil, but we've done a lot more testing and monitoring so far of water sources. So we thought that was a good place to start because we know we have some data that we could work with.
PFAS have been linked to everything from infertility to cancer and developmental delay in children. Here at the University of Birmingham in the English Midlands, there's ongoing research into the impact and prevalence of PFAS. One of their recent studies tested bottled water from 15 different countries. 99% contained forever chemicals. The first research here into the compounds was done 20 years ago. Widely used since the 1950s, in 2018 the European Food Safety Authority re-evaluated the toxicity of PFAS.
And I remember messaging somebody and saying, this is astonishing. They've basically sort of upgraded the toxicity of these chemicals by a factor of 10,000. Everybody watching this, I guarantee you will have these chemicals in your body because of the widespread use of these chemicals. Always, the point is though to make is, are those concentrations that are in us, are they likely to cause us harm? And I guess that is, the $64,000 question, as they say.
There's growing pressure by campaign groups to continue the recent trend of lowering exposure to PFAS and start a mass clean-up effort. The Forever Lobbying Project has been looking at the costs involved. If PFAS emissions stopped immediately, they claim the clean-up of the existing legacy pollution here in the UK would be $500 million a year for the next 20 years. But if PFAS emissions continue uncontrolled and unrestricted, that estimate jumps to $12 billion a year. That cost is because of their prevalence and how hard they are to destroy. Even after they're gathered through methods like water filtration, incineration at more than 1,000 degrees Celsius is an option, but it's expensive and energy intensive.
There's a lot of research happening, but some of the options being considered now are things like sonolysis. So that is using sound waves to break apart PFAS, or electrochemical oxidation, which uses electric current to shock the PFAS and basically break them apart. And again, other research is happening into other methods that might lower that energy intensiveness and hopefully the cost that goes along with that.
Most believe that a clean-up won't succeed until production is dramatically reduced. Manufacturers are starting to use new, less harmful alternatives, but it's estimated more than 1 million tonnes of PFAS are still produced globally each year. After more than half a century and the exponential growth of their use, we now face the reality that cleaning up these forever chemicals is difficult, time-consuming and expensive, as research continues into just how much harm they cause. Bevir, CNA, Birmingham.